Hi guys, it's Cal from Dirty Weasel, and welcome back to the mod organizer for Fallout 3 series. In the first two episodes we got the basics covered and installed a bunch of needed fixes for the game. Here in episode 3 I'll be going over the tools needed to successfully mod your game. We will be installing Loot, the load order optimization tool, FO3edit to help diagnose problems and more, and include the xEdit merge plugin script. And then we'll finish up with Wrye Flash that will allow us to create bash patches for better compatibility between mods and improve stability. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone that in our efforts to keep modding free, please donate to your favorite mod creators to thank them for their hard work. Part of Dirty Weasel Media's mission statement is to encourage this, so a donation will be made to any mod creators shown here after release of the video. So let's get started and go to the desktop. Okay guys, here we are at the desktop, and we're going to talk a moment about modding tools. When we're modding our game, as we get more and more mods and more plugins, we're going to need things to help order things out and get things to run smoothly, and this episode is designed for that. It's not going to have any mods per se, but we'll be downloading a few things to help us mod our game successfully. And the first one we're going to talk about today is Loot, and that is the load order optimization tool. And we go over to the internet and we'll just pull up the first page. You can see it's loot.github.io, and it says load order optimization tool for Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, and Fallout New Vegas. And it says setting the right order for your mods is a crucial step to enjoying a stable modded game. The load order optimization tool, Loot, can help with that by providing automated load order sorting that's simple to use and fully customizable. While sorting, Loot checks for load order errors such as incompatibilities and missing requirements and notifies you of any issues that it detects. It also provides thousands of plugin specific messages such as usage notes and bug warnings to help keep your game healthy. Great, awesome. And it also will provide tags. We'll get into tags later on, but tags for other programs such as Wrye Bash or Wrye Flash in the case of Fallout 3 to get it to work correctly. So what you do is go ahead and over here the download Loot, go ahead and download that. It's going to take you to the GitHub site, and you can see Loot latest is 0.7.1. You scroll down here and you're going to see a couple things. You have the Loot API, which you don't need, the Loot 7z file if you want to just have the base files, but probably for most people it's going to be just easier to get the loot.installer.exe. Go and download this to your desktop, and you can see I already have it on my desktop right here. So this is executable that's going to insert Loot wherever you want it. And what I found is that it likes to be in a certain specific place. So you get the installer running, and it says installer language. Of course mine is English, but you have other options. Press OK. Welcome to Loot 0.7.1 setup. This guy will guide you through the setup. Okay, great, awesome. Moving on. Next. Right, so choose install location. Choose the folder in which Loot to install Loot 0.7.1. You're going to see the program files x86 Loot. Now, we've talked before about the program files x86. It's a UAC controlled file, and you'll probably not want to use that. You're going to want to download this into your Game of the Year Fallout 3 version. So you go ahead and hit browse, and you're going to look for where you keep your games, and mine of course is on my F drive, and it's under Steam apps. You've seen this all before. Common, Game of the Year. And this is where, of course, you'll have all your data files, your Fallout 3 files, all this stuff. So I would go ahead and choose that one and click OK. So now it says Steam Apps Common, Fallout 3 Game of the Year, Loot. Okay, install. Now it's completed. We click Next. And it's going to ask you, it's been installed on your computer. Click Finish to set update. Do you want to run Loot or view the README? We're not going to click either of these because we're going to go into Mod Organizer and set this thing up. So go ahead and click Finish. We're going to throw this off to the side, and we're going to open up Fallout 3 Mod Organizer. Now, a little bit of magic probably happened when you open Mod Organizer up after installing Loot. It's going to show that you have it. Awesome! So come over here to your modify executables, and you'll see it right here. It says loot, and it's loot. It'll give the correct binary, right? Loot.exec. If you ever want to double check that, go to your Fallout 3 Game of the Year file directory, and you'll see this, of course, is where you have Fallout3.exe, which we modified in the last episode, and you'll find loot right there. Open this up, and you have loot.exe, and that's what it's pointing to. Mod Organizer is pretty smart, and it will find it for you. But if you ever change it, move it around, you'll need to change the binary to wherever you put it so that you have the loot.exe. Now, there's one of the things we want to do in this, and that's in the arguments. So you have arguments right here, right? Now I have Notepad++ open with my little note here. You're going to insert this in. It's --game equals Fallout 3. I want you to go ahead. I'll put this in the notes, but just copy that in. Paste. There you go. And you click modify. Right? So now when you have loot, it'll automatically open loot every time to Fallout 3. Never hit this button right here, because if you're modding your game, you don't want to have loot run, close mod organizer, make you open it back up. Okay, so there you go. So we can close that down. Now, over here in your executables, you can now run loot. I'm going to set my shortcut right now to my toolbar, so I always have it right there. So what happens when you run loot? Let's just run it right now and find out, make sure it works. First time tips, if you want to read through all this stuff, you can. It's going to tell you how to basically use the features of loot. It's a good thing to know. Okay, if you want to donate to the loot team, there you go, Wrinkly Ninja. I've donated to him before. It's worth having. Go ahead and click OK. And this is recognizing all the plugins you have in Mod Organizer. Kind of minimize this down, it's hard to see, but you see there's the official Fallout 3 patches right there, so it's actually recognizing it on this side. Plugins, Fallout 3. Oops, see, I messed up. There we go. Shows all the other stuff. So, there you go. Fallout 3, Anchorage, The Pit, Broken Steel, Point Lookout, Zeta. And the only ESM we have running, or ASP for this matter, is the Fallout patch. So there's a couple functionalities in this. Let's just open this back up so we can see a little better. And you'll have over here, you have sort plugins, update master list, search cards, and other stuff. But basically, this is the load order you have on the left-hand side. This is any messages will be delayed or displayed over here on this side. But we haven't gone and gotten all the messages. So the first thing we're going to do is update master list. There we go. Now it has updated the version, whatever, 8.61, whatever that was. And you can see it's now giving me messages about problems with the different plugins. In this case, it's containing all the dirty ITMs identical to masters and the UDRs, undeleted references, for each of the ESMs. And we'll go through and clean these later on, but for now, I would just go ahead and ignore this. When we get into cleaning mods, I'll tell you how to do it. If you now say, we've got the master list updated, we want to sort those plugins if we had more than the basics. You can sort plugins right here. And it would give you an automatic sorting. At least Loot suggested sorting. Didn't change anything on mine, but you get the idea. And if you wanted it to apply to Mod Organizer, you hit apply. Just that easy. There you go. So there's Loot. I mean, it's pretty simple overall to use, but you'll find a lot more functionality once we start getting more mods. You get a lot of mods, you're definitely going to need Loot to run for you. Okay? So there's that. That's Loot. Quick and dirty. Okay, the next tool we're going to talk about right now is FO3edit. And let's go just take a look at it. FO3edit, it's on the Nexus mods, Fallout 3 mods 637. And what this does is very similar to FNV-edit, TS5-edit. It's basically the same program. It's done by Elminster AU, right down here. It's been updated for Skyrim, FNV, and all that stuff. And Charlotte is one of the big guys of this. And what it does is it has a lot of functionality that we'll probably never use, but if you ever want to learn how to use it, you can have these 2 training manuals down here, and you can go ahead and read those. But basically what we use it for in FO3 and FNV is to make Merge patches, very useful things. It adds a lot of compatibility. It kind of mods them all up into one big compatibility patch, and it helps your game run better. It also will find inconsistency, missing masters, all these other things when you run it. And it's a very useful tool to have, and it's almost kind of required nowadays if you want it to run correctly. As you get more and more mods, it really shines and it really helps you guys out. What you'll be doing is go ahead and go over to the files, FO3edit right there, files, and you will go down to the main files. Ignore all these older versions, don't worry about that. FO3edit 3.1.1, that's important, 3.1.1, and you're going to download it manually. I already have it on my desktop right there. There's another mod we need you to go and get at the same time to make good use of this, and it is actually on the Skyrim site, Nexus Mods Skyrim Mods 37981, and is the Merge Plugins xEdit script. xEdit basically just means it's whatever edit version you may have. In our case, it's FO3edit. If it was Fallout New Vegas, it's FNVedit. TS5edit for Skyrim. You get the point? And what this allows you to do is merge a number of plugins together of same types so you have less ESPs in your load order. And that becomes very important when you start to get a whole bunch of them together to try and reduce down the plugins that you have to improve stability and you don't reach the cap limit. So if you ever want to learn about this, basically read all through these descriptions and it'll tell you how to use it. But basically, it's going to require whatever edit, in our case FO3edit version 3.0, 3.1.0 or newer to make it sure it works correctly. And we just went and got that. So go ahead and click Files. Main file right here, Merge Plugins version 1.9. And you're going to download this manually. I know it's a Skyrim plugin, don't worry about that. We talked about that before. A lot of stuff is interchangeable and we can make use of it. So I'm going to minimize that down. I have it on my desktop right here. So go ahead and open up FO3edit right here and just take a look at it. It has edit scripts, this .dat file, FO3edit.exe, and the README text. You open up this one, Merge Plugins, slide it over a little bit. It has edit scripts, merge plugins, readme.txt, and a merge plugin xEdit script.url. What we're going to need to do is move all these things together, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. Probably the easiest way for me is to just merge them on my desktop, and then I can just drop them into my game file whenever I need them. So what we're going to do is go ahead and right-click, and with WinRAR 7-zip, we're going to extract that file to FO3edit 3.1637, whatever. And there it is, my file right there. I'm going to rename that right away to just FO3edit. Boom. One file, ready to go. So we open that up. Now we have a data directory we can actually work in. So you come over here to Merge Plugins, and what we need to do is merge these scripts into this file. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all three, and then drag them and drop them in. And it's going to ask me if I want to merge these folders. Yes. Go ahead, click yes. So when you open up Merge Edit Scripts, it's going to have more stuff in it. If you ever want to see what the more stuff is, go back over to your WinRAR file, open this up, and you're going to have Merge Plugins 1.9.pas. That's the one we'll look for to make sure it did it correctly. Merge Plugins 1.9 PAS. So it merged them in. Good. Done. So what do we do with this new file? We can now throw these 7-zips away since we don't need them. And I want you to go over to your Fallout 3 game directory, wherever that may be. I'll be back when I get there. Okay. So FO3 Game of the Year edition, open that up, and you're in the right spot when you have your FO3 exec right there. Okay, so you're in the right spot when you see these. So what you're going to do, I'm just going to slide this over. I'm going to take the whole file, drag it, and drop it into Game of the Year. There it is, FO3edit. Okay, so now we put it in there. We can go ahead and get rid of that. Boom. Close that down. I want you to open up your FO3 mod organizer. Now, unlike loot, it's not going to recognize it automatically. So what you need to do is create an executable for this. So come over here, configure executables, open that up, just select loot and clear out both of these files. Just empty them out. Just delete everything that's in here, because we'll be creating a new one. And we are going to rename this FO3edit. Then we need to go search for the binary to say this is where we want the program to start. So come over here to your browse file system, and you can see it opened up last time. It'll be in your file directory. You have this is where the Fallout 3 executable is. So it's Steam, Steam Apps Comet, Fallout 3 Game of the Year. You now have FO3edit. Open that up, and you have FO3edit.exec. I want you to click it and hit open. So you have FO3edit starting with this binary. Go and click add. Remember, keep this off, because when you're modding, you don't want to close mod organizer every single time. And click add. There it is. Select the parameters. There it is. Go ahead and close that. So now when you come over to your executable, you now have FO3edit. I'm going to add that to my toolbar like I always do. So now we can now run it and see what happens. So what this has done is by running it through Mod Organizer, it now recognizes the plugins that we have. So you have Fallout 3, Anchorage, the pit, the whole thing, and there's unofficial Fallout 3 patch. So basically, if you had a bunch of ESMs and ESPs in here, it's going to populate this list. There's a couple things you can do if you want to select all or select none. You can do that. But basically, that's the functionality for right now. If you were to click all these together and you clicked OK, it would run through the background loader and it would start looking for any problems. And once you get down to here, it'll go through building references. And then eventually it would get down to background loader is finished. If you had any problems with your setup, it would give you a message and you just kind of read back up and it'll tell you if you're missing any masters. Okay? Pretty simple. For right now, we're just going to close this down. All right? And one of the things about Mod Organizer, every time you run FO3edit, it will drop things into your override. And that's what this little message box up is here. It's telling there's a warning, there's a problem, potential problems with your setup. Click it, there are files in your overwrite mod. All right, close that. You go to your overwrite, which is over here. This is where a lot of files get dumped. And we talked about that in the basics of Mod Organizer. If you double click that, it'll show you FO3edit backups. And there's nothing in there. Nothing there. What you can do is just highlight it and delete it. Don't delete it every time, because if you're making a merge patch or merging plugins, you'll need it. So that's the basics. We'll get into merging plugins later on, and I'll show you how to work that. But you've already got the scripts installed on it now, so you've got the tools you need. Okay, let's go and close that down. Okay, and the last tool that we're going to talk about is Wrye Flash. Wrye Flash is another basic compatibility tool. You can actually add mods with this. You can do a lot of different things. You can create a bash patch, which is very similar to a merge patch, but it has more functionality, and do a bunch more. So, but basically for us, the most we'll be using it for is bash patches. Anyways, let's go take a look at it. And you can see it's Wrye Flash, Fallout 3, Nexus mods, Fallout 3 mods 11336. And it is a powerful mod management utility adapted to Fallout 3 by Valda from the TES5, Oblivion, and Skyrim versions. Okay, so this has once again just a bunch of information here. If you ever want to read all this and how it all works, that's great. There's lots and lots of things that it does. But for right now, we're just trying to get it installed, right? So go to Files, Wrye Flash 341 standalone executable. Then you have the Python source. Don't worry about this. This is a different thing, right? This is actually updated in June 13th, 2015, so it wasn't that long ago. Old versions, don't worry about it. Download it to your desktop. Just download it to your desktop. And of course, I have it right here. Let's open up and take a look at it. And you have two files in here, data and mopy. Data has bash, patches, docs, and any tweaks. We want to keep those. And we want to have mopy, which has all your stuff in here, including your wryeflash.exe. So go ahead and right-click, and we're going to do the same thing, extract to Wrye Flash 341 executable. Now on my desktop. And once again, you have 2 files in here. So, same thing as before. Go to your common file, Fallout 3 Game of the Year. Open that up. And this is where we put loot. This is where we put FO3edit. You can see it's got the executable in here. I want you to copy both of these, drag them, and drop them in. Now, I know it says data here and data here. That's where it needs to go. But that mopy file contains the executables, and we need it over here. So just drag them and drop them both in. Okay, copy to Fallout 3 Game of the Year right there. Okay, it's going to ask you if you want to, make the changes to the .data file, and we do. And we're going to do this for all items. Click yes. So if you want to take a look at this, it has bash patches and docs. Same as what's in here. So all I did was move those files over into this to add them to this data file. And of course you have mopy. And that's where your Wrye Flash.exe is located. So, very similar as before. Open Mod Organizer up. Go to your executable tab because it will not automatically recognize it. And just choose whatever one you want. Let's choose FO3edit this time. So you blank out this file. Close that. And we'll go ahead and blank this out. We will rename this Wrye Flash. We go search our binaries. And it's not going to give me the right thing, so we go back because it went to FO3edit. So go to Fallout 3 Game of the Year. And we will look for mopy. There it is, M-O-P-Y. Open that up. wryeflash.exe. Hit that. Open it up. And now it has the right binary. Right? There's no arguments for this. Keep closed. Keep this box unchecked. You want to add it. So now you have Wrye Flash. Right? If you want to modify it, you can. But close it. Come over here to your drop down. You have Wrye Flash. Very good. Of course, you want to add one to my toolbar. Let's run it and see what happens, and I'll show you a tip on this. All right. So you have Wrye Flash. Open that quick. Okay, so this tip actually comes from SRB. So I want you to solve this little problem. I want you to have your mods tab. You have all these different. No, I don't want to. No, don't do that. Go to your mods tab. I want you to right-click on File right here. See this right-click? Right-click on it and see this lock times. SRB recommends unclicking it, right? Just to make sure it's done. Unlock this. It's a niggle. I wouldn't say it's a big niggle, but it does do some things that you don't need to have. But basically same thing. It has a lot of functions in here. I wouldn't worry about this order too much. It's just the way it is right now. But if you wanted to do something with it, you would go ahead and right-click on the last one in there, and you could create bash tags. You could rebuild a patch if you had a bash patch available. Okay? And we'll go into how to build bash patches at a later time. Just like FO3edit, there's a lot of functionality that we just won't go into. We're just going to get up and running for right now. There you go. So there we go, guys. We got all of our tools installed. Of course, we'll be explaining more on how to use these things, but I wanted to get a video out that shows what we all did with this, and make sure you have all the tools needed to use it effectively. So there's that. Episode 4 is going to basically cover how to start installing stuff, and we'll be covering UI mods. And of course, with UI mods comes Fallout Wanderers Edition. We install that, get that up and running, because it's actually has a lot of user interface operability, and we'll be able to install at the same time. That's going to be a big episode. We'll probably break it up into 2, so you have UIO 1, UIO 2, user interface 1, user interface 2. Don't know. So that's it for now. My name's Cal. I'm from Dirty Weasel, and I'm signing off.